am Rising Phoenix Aurora. I am the founder to Rising Phoenix Mystery School Wellness Center, which you see right behind me. I am an author. I am known as a spiritual revolutionist. Go check out my books under Barnes & Noble and Amazon, where you will find out the true history of both Earth and Galactic Universal history, both through my channel information and people's memories and past life regressions that they've shared. This is an entity removal, which I am the founder of A.U.R.A Hypnosis Entity Removal and Raw Reiki, both entity removal courses under our school, but we have many courses that are smaller and bigger. Our biggest, most expansive course is the A.U.R.A Hypnosis Entity Removal, which I actually host workshops and retreats here. My next retreat that I'm going to be hosting is going to be here in Chicago, May 11. Come sign up to it. It's going to be incredible. You'll be provided for, breakfast and lunch, and we're just going to have an incredible time. We got 70,000 acres of trees next to us, and but I'd love to meet you here. Come learn how to save yourself by removing the inversions, the entities, the trauma, both in this life and past life. And it's truly a beautiful quantum healing, quantum physics, and the ways that you're able to go down into a micro level of how you're able to heal yourself. So come learn that. It's going to be absolutely incredible. And otherwise, I'm also going to be doing the online workshop May 11th. So listen to my infomercials. Thank you for being here. As you know, I am self-funded, which keeps me sovereign. You saw the title though. Wow, what a big title. And it's true, you all. I am going to go into slavery, and actually white slave trade, and the fact that white slave trade, specifically actually the Irish, were the first, as well as some of the Middle Eastern regions, but at least in our current centuries, that the Irish actually were the ones that first were slave traded into America. Yeah, before the blacks. And I have statistics, and then we're going to go into the very important book that I found from 1910, you all. So I have data, and we'll add the link too for you all once we get to that part for you to see it, because there is a digital copy, but I found it here, which is called Fighting the Traffic in Young Girls, or War on White Slave Trade. Now we know that they've been using the Black Lives Matter and keeping the Black collective, especially in the Americas, as a victim mentality, like they're slaves. But the truth is that it wasn't just the Blacks, and in some circumstances, it was more so other races at a higher quantity that were enslaved and are enslaved. Even now, what we're seeing all over the world, children being married into men being sold off, that's slavery too. And it's the greatest crime in the world's history. For God's sake, do something. Thank you to this wonderful man, which we'll get to know about him, you all. Turns out that he was the Secretary of Illinois, Ernest A. Bell. Gina, I know that there was was it an amendment or a bill passed by him in 1910. How much so the white little girls and boys were being sold off into slavery, sex trafficking, and that they had to pass a law. So we'll go more into that and what was this world like in 1910, which are the most recent, say, full-on, whites being sold, Caucasians. And the purpose to this is, I want to say that, as always, setting very strong intentions, is that we're here to remove curses and a lot of I grew up in Chicago. So, I had Black friends and, Black employees and so on that were, kept the fact that they were try to explain it as nice as possible here, but they kept in victimhood because they claimed that they were slaves, and they were slaves. I'm here to set it straight, you all. It was everyone. I talked to people all over the world. We're talking about Asia. We're talking about Hawaii. We're talking about New Zealand. We're talking about even the indigenous here. Like my color skinned people were also enslaved and they killed us off. So then it's time. I'm sending you, I'm here to help clear this up in the hopes that the Black community, especially in America, I love you with all that I am, that you release this agenda that you're feeding, especially through Black Lives Matter, which most African Americans, or as they call them, but Blacks, see through this, and they understand that it's just a hoax. So that's what this intention is to balance that out, because actually the Blacks are very strong beings. And if they were to step into their power, get out of their pride and their ego, it would be a complete level up, especially in the US, within the collective here. If they were finally able to release the false agenda that they were slaves. Because, yep.
Thank you for being here. I am Rising Phoenix A.U.R.A. I am the founder to Rising Phoenix Mystery School.
Let me see who's texting me. Oh, the music's too loud. Okay, so hopefully you're able to hear that. Hold on, let me get to my phone. Okay, I'm back. So that's what we're here to do, to help these, because the way it works quantumly, energetically, spiritually, the mind, the consciousness, if you keep yourself in the loop that you were the recent slaves, when there is factual, no, there wasn't. According to this book, there were white slaves. And even going back to oldest history, there were white slaves, and I'll show you the links and I'll show you the data and everything, even back hundreds of years ago, even before there were Black slaves. And so it's time to release that curse, because what you're actually feeding is the slave mind mentality. You're feeding the inverted matrix. And you're also keeping yourself in a low vibratory emotion when you think that you're a victim and a slave and someone owes you something. No one owes you nothing. When you live like that, you live when you live to someone owes you something, you live in a minority type of energy, which is like a lack of, okay? And something that we've always taught is that, one, you are sovereign, you are free, and then that mindset actually keeps you enslaved, keeps the soul enslaved, keeps the minds enslaved, and makes these hive minds all over in the US or any race who is like that. And as we know, that is the majority of the slaves. So I'm here to set things straight about, especially Black Lives Matter, that you're feeding the Illuminati and the dark forces. So yeah, let me give you the facts today. That's what we're here to do. So I want to stay with that. Don't even bother if you're a hater or troll. As always, you are. Everything I do is strong content, so be prepared for that today. It's also very explicit, so get ready to hear some of these things. And it's going to be the raw truth, and I am raw love. Let's go. So keep your entity to yourself. If you're a hater or troll, don't even bother. Be yours to transmute. Let's go. All right. So start writing your questions. We have beautiful Gina in chat right now, watching over chat, and yeah, to find out more information about me, and then we'll start the video now, or to sign up to any of my courses. I also offer sessions, quantum, galactic, Akashic readings. I offer one-on-one mentorships with you all for counseling, or whatever which way your soul and your higher self wants to go, for your most beautiful benevolent timelines, workshops, live. You can check out my calendars on my social medias, and then to support this video and all that I do. You could go to my website, risingphoenixaurora.com, to sign up to that subscription there, that membership there, or AuraPractitioners.com, where you could find practitioners from all over the world. So here we go, you all. All right, so let's look at this from a higher perspective, a higher self perspective. So what's going on is that statistically, Gina, right at the top, what is the percentage, for example, like in America, as far as blacks? Like, what is the population here? Okay, and then let me see. I think I asked you a question earlier. Did you add that to the top too? I can't remember the question I asked you earlier, but yeah. Okay. Oh, here it is. Okay. Okay, so. Okay, so that's the one. I can't remember the question I asked you, Gina, so just write it at the top. And then I'll wait for that answer and I'll let you guys know. Okay. So what's the population? So we'll get that for you. What is the population when you think about it? Because if you have, I know that there are a big portion, the blacks are a big portion of the population, especially like in Illinois and in Chicago. A lot. So also going into, we'll go deeper into that in a little bit when we cover the rest of the world and the slavery that was happening there. Okay. So it's approximately 51, they are approximately 51.63 million. The black population in the United States has reached 51 million in 2025, which represents 15% of the total American population out of 340 million. But today we're going to talk about all races, but mostly this book. Okay, so let's start looking at this book, and then I'll go into the other documentations that I have gathered for you all. All right. So again, I think Candace Owens did a documentary, right, on how Black Lives Matter was all false and founded by Soros and the dark Illuminati. So you see that, like, if you align to this type of slave mind mentality, you see how you align to them, right? And you are powerful people. If I were you and I was black, I'd be like, I don't consent to you, and I'm snapping myself out of that lack of enslaved mind. I am no one's slave. So, all right, here we go. So here is, so we have two books. Gina, share in the chat the links if you guys want to check them out. I showed you the book earlier, but here's the book again. Okay, so we're gonna go through it, and we're gonna do the introduction, and then from there we'll go back and forth, taking breaks and going between what's now happening in slave trade and what's happening just so nearly 100 years ago, 1910. Okay. All right, so we're sharing the links, but otherwise I'm going to be sharing it here. And in case you all want to read ahead of time, this might be a two-part video, I'm not sure, I never know how it's gonna flow. But there is two videos links here. Seems like there's two versions of this book. There's this one, which is For God's Sake, Do Something, Fighting the Trafficking Young Girls, or War on White Slave Trade. And look at this. Danger, mothers beware. 60,000 innocent girls wanted to take the place of 60,000 white slaves, guys. White slaves who will die this year. Signed by white slave dealers. Wait a minute. Hold on. How come we weren't taught this? Wait a minute. Every single indoctrinated system of schooling growing up, right? All they tell us about is black slaves over and over and over. So I'm here to tell you what they won't tell you. All right. here we go. Enough with this false nonsense. Now we know that it was real, but it wasn't just the blacks. It was everywhere, even down to Vietnam. There were slaves. Okay? The smallest islands, the Caribbean, you name it, Puerto Rico, there were slaves happening. Who do you think Columbus was? He's a slave trader. But we'll go into it more. The blacks that were traded from Africa were sold off by their own kings and queens, making lots of money there. Okay, something for you to think about. The African kings and queens were making a lot of money. All right, and that's for all the people. But here we go. So that's that one. And then the other book, that is the one I have here physically, is right here, Caucasian. And then they have actual history and of what was happening then, of the females then. So the greatest crime in world's history. And this picture is of a female, and they have actual like souls that they're talking about, like real life females and their names and like data, you all, of what was happening. And this one says, my God, if I only could get out of here. Okay. Very benevolent man. And it wasn't just him, it was a group of white men and women trying to free this white slave trade then. Because like you saw, they were going missing. Okay. All right. So let's start it off with here. Let's take a look at him. This is a beautiful man here. And I realized I was looking at the picture. I figured out who he is in this now time space. I'll share that with you guys later. Guys, keep watching. As always, we got really divine, juicy information that keeps you going. So watch all the way to the end. And our intention is always to save the children. Everything I do is always that. What kind of video, what kind of information, what can I talk about that a lot of people don't talk about that I can bring light to? And here I am. Why do you think so many cultures have a lot of light eyes? There's a lot of white girls that were slave traded into all the world. Okay? So here he is. He's beautiful. So we'll know who he is now later. But this is Han Edwin W. Sims, the man most feared by all white slave traders. What? Yes, you are. You are incredible. He was just, look at this, guys. Look at who he is. This is why I ran into it, guys. Look at this. He is by Ernest Bell, right? And Ernest Bell is the Secretary of Illinois Vigilance Association, Superintendent of Midnight Missions, etc., with special chapters by following person. So, and then these are the other beings who were assistant with this mission of the white slave trade. Okay? Ernest A. Bell, what a beautiful man you are. And thank you for finding and making sure that I found my way to your book. I will tell you that this was a tough book for me to buy. I could feel every single white slave soul entrapped within the book. It was, guys, I have tons of books. It was the darkest book I've ever bought in my history of ever buying. Even like the Hitler books that I found of the truth of really what went down in World War II, which you can find the extra sensitive series that under my Patreon, my extra sensitive series, right? We'll add the links. This had, because they spoke about all these little girls being sold off and boys, it had their souls trapped in there because they were, it's like these books are really a portal into timelines of when these souls existed. If their story is in it, it is portaling you to their time space and what was going on. And because of what I do quantumly to assist souls and spirits and entities, as I've always been teaching you, right, almost 1,000 videos now, it was dark. it was dark. So much so that that night when I worked on clearing it, is that I felt, you ever felt like psychically paralyzed, energetically paralyzed, you're in your sleep and you can't move or talk? And the only thing I could do was call out for Archangel Michael, of course. And I thought, Archangel Michael, Archangel Michael, Archangel Michael. And there he came, and he freed me out from being energetically paralyzed. And paralysis, that's what they call it. And I don't get like that. Like, I mean, that was like long time ago, you know, when I first started waking up and I didn't know how to shield yet and so on. But in that exact moment, in the quantum realm, delta brainwave of sleep, was when we began to start freeing all these souls from that time space, to start freeing them to this now time space. And there was thousands and millions of these children's souls inside the book. Horrific, you all. And things that you can't even think about, of sexual abuse to the white slave trade and all over the world, of all races. All right. So back to this. So thank you to the angels, Divine Mother and Father, for helping me with that love, getting me through that moment. It was a tough one, and it was violating. No good. Okay, so there it is. So let's read this. So this is a bit more of the front page, but look at this image here. This says the theoretical agency, stylish girls wanted for the stage, high salary, brilliant career, travel, enjoy. I don't know, what does that say? Enjoy, men or enjoy something? I don't know what that says. And it says the lure of the stage, answering a want ad. Disreputable theatrical agents, sometimes theatrical agents, sometimes act as white slave traders, alluring positions on the stage, being that the net used to catch young girls. And this is by, look, we had some positive. Clifford G. Rowe, Assistant State's Attorney, Cook County, Illinois. That's where Illinois is, Cook County. Page 167, he would talk more about him talking about this. Look at that. Can you believe that? So like Hollywood and so on, through theater and Hollywood and movies, they were posing as recruiters or model agents, actor agents, and were taking young ladies and taking them from their parents, is what this is saying. That's crazy. That went back even to the 1910s, and I'm sure even farther back. Okay, so according to this, a complete and detailed account of the shameless traffic in young girls, the methods by which the procurers and pawners lure innocent young girls away from home and sell them to keepers of dives. I think that's what it says. The magnitude of the organization and its workings. How to combat this hideous monster. How to save young girl. How to save your girl. How to save your boy. What you can do to help wipe this curse of humanity. I like that they say that, because how many times do I cover this? This is a curse. A book designed to awaken the sleeping and protect the innocent. Yes. Thank you, Ernest Bell. 32 pages of striking pictures showing the workings of the blackest slavery, not black people, black as in dark, blackest slavery that has ever stained the human race on white slaves. All right. Let's see what's next on this page. Let me see what questions and comments you guys have. It says right here, copyright. It says 1910, but you can't quite see it there. 1910. And then here's all the chapters and history. Look at that. Let's look at some of the chapters titles here. So chapters not otherwise designated are by editor. Preface, introduction, history of the white slave trade, the suppression of the white slave traffic, William Alexander Coote. The White Slave Trade of Today, Edwin Sims. Menace of the White Slave Trade, same name. A White Slave Clearinghouse, a white slave's own story. What? The true story of Estella Raymond of Kentucky. Wow. D.F. Sutherland. Our Sister of the Street, Florence Mabel Dedrick. More about the traffic in Shame, Ophelia Amig. The traffic in girls, Charles N. Crittenton. Warfare against white slave traffic, Clifford G. Rowe. The Boston Hypocrisy, Clifford G. Rowe. The Auctioneer of Souls, Clifford Rowe. The White Slave Trade in New York City by a special contributor. This is upsetting, you all, but I am so happy that we are bringing this to light. I'll check your comments and questions as soon as I finish reading this intro. Buried Widows. How We Took Up the Fight. The Nations and White Slave Traffic, James Bronson Reynolds. The Yellow Slave Trade. What's that about? How Snakes Charm Canaries. Procedures in the Confession of One. Oh, of one of probably the bad guys? Crazy. Wanted Fathers and Mothers. Chicago's White Slave Market. The Failure and Shame of the Regulation of Vice, so on. Maybe Vice President. The White Slaves and the Black Plagues. The White Slave Traffic and the Public Health, Dr. Winfield Scott Hall. The Vice Diseases, Dr. William. Recruiting Grounds of the White Slave Traffickers, Harry Parkin. Practical Means of Protecting Our Girls, again Parkin. Laws for the Suppression of the White Slave Traffic. And I'll look to see what that law was. A Pastor's Part, Melbourne, Bainton. The Story of the Midnight Mission, Helen Chambers, Some Other Girls, and Daisy. Destruction of the Vice Districts of Los Angeles and Des Moines. Like Daisy, this one, I haven't gone into it, but I saw an image. It's like basically the trafficker survivors. Like, you know, some of those girls who've spoken up. What is her name? She's African American, and she's spoken. I can't remember her name right now. But Gina, let me know what her name is. Destruction of the Vice Districts of Los Angeles and Des Moines. Condition in London. She, the one I'm speaking about, she was adopted by a foster mother, and she told her what happened and how these presidents like Obama like slept with her and stuff. Okay, so not and stuff, but you know what I'm saying. For God's sake, do something. Poems. Are you weeping? Why are you weeping, sister? The Red Rose. Okay. All right, and here's a dedicated note to the army of loyal workers who, in the name of God and humanity, have enlisted in this holy war for the safety and purity of womanhood. Thank you for that. What a beautiful notation there. Thank you to those warriors of 1910. We'll go into the preface in a minute, but let me see what you guys have written here. Okay. All right, so see. Okay, so the Mann Act, originally passed in 1910, is a federal law aimed at prohibiting the transportation of women. So that's what he helped pass, this man, with the book. He helped pass the Mann Act in 1910. Is a federal law aimed at prohibiting the transportation of women and girls. A dark energy. Wow. Women and girls across state lines for immoral purposes. Across state lines, Canada and Mexico, primarily targeting human trafficking and prostitution. The Mann Act, previously called the White Slave Traffic Act of 1910, is a United States federal law. Did you guys know that there was a law against that? Passed in June 25th, 1910. When this book was written. Her name was Addie Carter, is Addie Carter. Yes, love her. So much angelic protection for her. Okay, comments, questions. Comments. Someone said the word slaves comes from the word sklavos, meaning Slav, the Slavic peoples of Eastern Europe who were enslaved in the early Middle like ages. And then someone said mail order brides were a way of slavery. It still is, right? That is slavery when you're marrying a 6-year-old, 8-year-old, or being forced to someone you don't even know. That's slavery. Like when they have those what is that? When they marriage, what is the word? When they marry them in and they don't pick. Type that, Gina. I can't remember right now, but nowadays budding actresses are flown to Shelks for that. Reading the dedication page that was showing has me in tears. Absolutely. I do not consent holding the space for Black people to release this curse. That's right. Sending love to all who have been slaves. And let me see what you guys wrote. Arranged marriage, this is called. Those arranged marriages is that like even in India, right? Like there's a lot of arranged marriage, and you have to give them gold. And what do you think you're trading in there? Well, anytime a being, a female or a male, don't have a say on who they're gonna marry in and have sex with, that's called sex slavery. It is, because they don't have their rights have been taken from them, and they're forced into a situation that was not chosen by them. All right, and then let me see if you guys have questions. What about indentured servants? I have to look into that. Gina, type what that means. To the question, type the definition to that. All right, we're going to keep looking at the book while we get those answers, and we'll come back to your questions and comments later again. All right, so here we are, fighting the traffic in young girls. We're going to look at this one. We're looking at this one that I have, the preface. We'll go back to that, but let's look at this one because this one's only 43 pages. And this is where it says 60,000, right? Because 60,000 are going to die. So they're looking for 60,000 white slaves to replace them. Nasty. All right, here's the image, guys. This is an actual photograph of one of them. Held in white slavery. Will you help free her? Her clothes are taken from her. She has no friends and no money. She is hundreds of miles from home, a prisoner in a vile resort. This is so sad, you all. I'm going to hold back my tears the whole time. But this is a tough one. See her? This beautiful soul right here. And she can't get out. Such beautiful men and women. Here we are. Look at this. The first step. Ice cream parlors of the city and fruit stores combined, largely run by foreigners, are the places where scores of girls have taken their first step downward. Does the mother know the character of the place and the man she is with? Oh, back to that. Oh, okay. Next one. I think we read that in the other one. With an astounding report of Chicago's Vice Commission. More people who were helping out, write their names. Yeah, and it's the same typing as the other one. A book designed to awaken the sleeping and protect the innocent. Thank you. I mean, guys, let's just all agree within Love Light that this is the best book written in Earth history, I think. One who speaks of child sex trafficking and brings it to light. I love you with all that I am. I mean, I love you with all that I am, regardless, but wow, you get the medal of best author, best book written in creation. Thank you for this. For God's sake, do something, General Booth. fighting the traffic in young girls or war on white slave trade. Next one, same quote, dedicated to the army of loyal workers who, in the name of God and humanity, have enlisted in this holy war for the safety and purity of womanhood. Now, I have my own book, but this was whoever downloaded this to this website, Welcome Institute Library. That's where they, got it from. Thank you for downloading it in too. And then it goes into more, which we won't read it. It's I think this is all I found of this one. So I wonder, it might be, let's see, history of the white slaves, the suppression of the white slave traffic, the white slave trade today. It might be the duplication, but this is what we have covered here. Practical means of protecting all girls. Let me see. Maybe it is different. Yeah, it looks like it's 2 different books. Gina, see if you can find the whole book of this, because I wasn't able to. I was only able to find 43 pages of it, not the 2. Oh, there's 2 books, guys. 314 pages. This one is 480 pages that I have. Okay, but for now, what they did is they did incredible, because they uploaded images of the book, which is so important. Let's read the preface. The glory may dwell in our land is the motive of the writers of this book, with a true patriotism that rejoices not in the iniquities we expose, that blushes crimson with humiliation over the crimes we record, that glows hot with indignation against the criminals we denounce. We have pursued the painful, necessary task of telling the truth to the American people concerning evils that have made us reel with horror. For the protection of the innocent, for the safeguarding of the weak, for the warning of the tempted, and the alarm of the wicked. The truth must be told, the truth that makes us free. Therefore, we have used plain words, not coarse or vulgar, but chaste and true. Thank you. Lawyers of the highest standing have introduced the legal language with which the statutes provide penalties for crimes against honor and safety of women and girls. Physicians who are professors in medical colleagues among the foremost in the world, men in reputation for their skill and beloved for their devotion to the people's welfare, have told here in medical terminology the intolerable consequences to guilty and innocent of the odious business of making commerce of girls and promoting the debauchery of young men. We are sure that time has come when millions will thank these lawyers and physicians for breaking the seal of secrecy and giving the people their birthright, the truth. It is told that after Dante had written his Inferno, the women of Ravenna would turn pale and whisper to each other as he passed, "There goes the man who has been in hell." We don't know who that is, but I think if we continue to read, we'll understand. Some of us have gone to the abyss and have seen things which are not lawful for a man to utter, such as could filthily be told and must be told. We have been telling for years past, knowing that the truth must prevail. These are bad A's. I love you. You are incredible. This is the fierceness and the strength that I deliver every single truth expansive video that I do. You are. This is the divinity and energy and divine power of clear love light that I deliver. Thank you for being in 1910 that in your way. Thank you. Stronger than the dark. Oh, I love this. Stronger than the dark, the light. Stronger than the wrong, the right. Stronger than the dark, the light. Stronger than the wrong, the right. Stronger than the dark, the light. Stronger than the right, the wrong, the right. Stronger than the wrong, the right. Powerful. To our great joy, the magazine having the largest circulation in the world, Women's World, which more than 2 million subscribers, took up the appeal for the safety of American and alien women and girls in September of last year. This magazine has already printed or caused to be printed and circulated fully 50 million pages, and it is enlisted for the war on the most shameful crime of debauching and exploiting the youth of both sexes. This is a critical time for our nation. We must now decide whether to stamp out the white slave traffic in its attendant vices. Thank you to that Woman's World magazine. Gina, see if you can find any data or image on that. Wow. That distributed 2 million subscribers. That's right. These are real people talking about the real mission we are on. If you don't talk about this stuff, are you really here talking about the real mission on earth, no matter what name you give yourself? A light worker, a spiritual worker, a priest, whatever you want to call yourself, a government, a president, and we know that this president and this team is speaking about this. So are you really benevolent if you don't speak about it? I question if you are. You all know, I always say it the way it is. Here we go. So to go to the broad way that this led both ancient and modern nations to destruction. Today we fashion destiny. Our web of fate we spin. Today for all hereafter. Choose we holiness or sin. Today from lofty charism or Ebel's cloudy crown. We call the dews of blessing or the bolts of cursing down. Concerning the effect of vice upon the destiny of nations, the Encyclopedia Britannica. And yeah, those are good encyclopedias, the ones before they were changed. Though it may coexist with the national vigor, its extravagant development is one of the signs of a rotten and decaying civilization, a phase which has always marked the decadence of great nations. But though we thus speak, we are confident, chat, that this is truly the land of the free. Yes, it is, America. Free, glad, safe womanhood and the home of the brave. Men brave enough to protect our girls and to deal with the wife slave traders and their sorts as they deserve. Land of the free and brave. Thank you. Absolutely. An introduction by Edwin W. Sims, United States District Attorney, Chicago. You are gorgeous, man. I am firmly convinced that when the people of this nation understand and fully appreciate the unspeakable villainy of the white slave traffic, they will rise in their might and put a stop to it. Why am I reading this out to you all right now? Because it's happening right now. The mirror is happening right now. What timeline have you aligned? Have you aligned to an administration that came before this that was the actual traffickers selling and sex trafficking the children? Or are you aligning and have got out of your pride and your ego to see how we are factually saving with this administration 60,000 of the 300,000 that Biden and Harris, what was her name? I forgot her name. Kamala. 60,000 have been retrieved from the 300,000 that they trafficked, mostly from the foster system. I don't care what excuse you give me and what makes you feel uncomfortable. And if it makes you feel uncomfortable that we're talking about saving children, you want to question, why do you feel like this? And where is your morality and your mind and heart is at? Have you sold your soul away in some form, whether it's this life or another, to support, for example, like the propaganda that's happening against the ICE raids, where they're going? I could show you videos, but I have so much to share with you guys, where there's ICE men going into to handcuff a pedophile a man who raped a child, and people are trying to stop the ICE agent from taking the rapist. Are you serious? Not gonna go into that, but it does fire me up. And I think anyone who is a organic, positive being would be fired up by this. I really hope you would. And if you're not, again, you want to look into what type of entity you have attached in your AI, something that is influence you, not to save children. All right, so let's keep going here. So yes, in your time space, Edwin W. Sims, thank you. I really hope it happened. And I do see that it happened in 1910. Absolutely. I see the rise of people speaking of child sex trafficking, slave trade. It worked, and it's working now. That same energy is being carried and mirrored to the now. And that is why we do see so many white people speaking up right now and really supporting Trump. They're not oppressors or Nazis or haters. They are the same people that woke up to this spell and this curse in 1910. They will rise in their might and put a stop to it. The growth of this trade in white women, as it has been officially designated by the Paris Conference, was so insidious. Something was happening in Paris, guys, with trafficking, that it reached the proportions of an international problem almost before the people of the civilized nations of the world learned of its existence. The traffic increased rapidly, owing largely to the fact that it was tremendously profitable to those depraved mortals who indulged in it, and because the people generally until very recently were ignorant of the fact that it was becoming so extensive. And even at this time, when a great deal has been said by the pulpit and the press about the horrors of the traffic, the public idea of just what is meant by the white slave traffic is confused and indefinite. It is my hope and belief that this work, edited by the scholarly and devoted Ernest A. Bell, whose life of toil for the wayward and the fallen has endeared him to all who know of him and his work, will do much to make the mature scope and perils of his infamous trade be better understood. The characteristic which distinguishes the white slave traffic from immorality in general is that the women who are the victims of the traffic are forced unwillingly to live an immoral life. The term white slave includes only those women and girls who are actually slaves. Those women who are owned and held as property and chattels, whose lives are lives of involuntary servitude. The white slave trade may be said to be the business of securing white women and selling of them and exploiting them for immoral purposes. It includes those women and girls who, if given a fair chance, would in a probability have been good wives and mothers and useful citizens. Only a little time ago, there were many thousands of our best citizens who were unable to bring themselves to believe that an internal traffic in white women really existed, right? Like, we're trying to tell these people this stuff exists. The statement seemed too sensational for their acceptance. If any readers remain who are still unconvinced that such an international traffic is a fact, let them consider the following, quoted from the annual report for 1908 on Hans Oscar S. Strauss, the Secretary of Commerce and Labor. And an international project of arrangement for the suppression of the white slave traffic was on July 25th, 1902, adopted for submission to their respective governments by the delegations of the various powers represented at the Paris Conference, which arrangement was confirmed by formal agreement signed at Paris on May 18, 1904 by the governments of Germany, Belgium, Denmark, Spain, France, Great Britain. See what I'm talking about, guys? It wasn't just the blacks. It was everywhere. Italy, the Netherlands, Portugal, Russia, Sweden, Norway, and Swiss Federal Council. This arrangement, after submission to the Senate, was proclaimed by the President Roosevelt, who was very positive. Theodore Roosevelt, that's a positive one, not the one from 1943, who was, what was his name? Do you know? I always forget people's names when I'm channeling. And so Theodore Roosevelt was positive. He was working with these different beings from the book. Okay, and in June 15, 1908, and is printed in full in the report of Commissioner General of Immigration. The purpose of the arrangement is set forth in the preamble, which states that the several governments being desirous, I don't know how to say that word, to assure to women who have attained their majority and are subjected to deception and or constraint, as well as minor women and girls in protection against the criminal traffic known under the name of trade in white women, trade des blanques, trade of whites, have resolved to conclude an arrangement with a view to concert proper measures to attain this purpose. It is, of course, inconceivable that the distinguished representatives of these great governments would have entertained for consideration any subject not of vital and international importance. There is still another point upon which I feel moved to place all possible emphasis: the hideous depravity and the fiendish cunning of the criminals who engage in this most abhorrent. Let me see how long this keeps going. Here we go. And then, because I know there's images at some point. Okay, we're about to finish. And then we're going to go into some of the data that we found from all over the world. Because it turns out that the Irish was actually the first slaves to America. Sold off before the blacks. Did you know that? Irish slaves. Okay. So, criminals who engage in this most abhorrent and revolting of all criminals' pursuits. Kipling said in one of his poems describing the doings of lawless people in the camps of the northern countries that there is never a law of God or man runs north of 49. That and more too might be said to the districts where the white slaves grows rich from his traffic in girls. The men and the women who engage in this traffic are more unspeakably low and vile than any other class of criminals. That's for sure. The lowest of the lows. The burglar and hold-up men are a high-minded gentleman by comparison. There is no more depraved class of people in the world than those human vultures who fatten on the shame of innocent young girls. Many of these white slave traders are recruited from the scum of the criminal classes of Europe. And in this lies the revolting side of the situation. On the one hand, the victims, pure, innocent, unsuspecting, trusting young girls, not a few of them mere children. On the other hand, the white slave trader, low, vile, depraved, and cunning, organically a criminal. In the prosecutions which I have officially conducted against this class of criminals, the fact has developed that when caught, they generally are willing to arrange to pay heavy fines. These offers have, of course, been refused, and we have taken the position that they do not sell out. What's up? Thank you. We have taken the position that we will in no case accept merely a fine. That's right. In all these cases already tried, we have asked the court to impose, so they're in jail and they can't get out. That's the way to do it. The judges jail sentences, and we expect to continue that policy. Men and women who make a living and fatten off the shame and disgrace and the ruin of innocent young girls are a menace to the community, to whom no quarter should be given. That's right. The rule in my office with reference to this class of cases is to show no quarter, to extend no consideration of any kind. We are inquiring heavy bail and asking for imprisonment in the penitentiary in case of conviction. And I may add that no criminal convictions secured as a result of my efforts have yielded me a personal satisfaction to be compared with that afforded by the conviction of those engaged in the white slave trade. One word more, I hope soon to see the time when the laws of the land will as carefully protect the daughters of the United States from the destroying hand of the white slave trade as the international treaty agreements now protect the girl who is brought in from foreign shores. Edwin W. Sims, you are a beautiful man. Wow. Here we go, but let's go into who is this man. Let's do it. Let's just go for it. This man right here. Find you the picture once more. Saving these girls in that time space. Why are you not showing the image? Let me refresh it. Ah, come on! Don't do that. What the crap? Okay, hold on. Where is the... Okay, come on. And just clear it. Where's the picture of the man? What the... You guys remember the picture of the man? Why is it not there? Oh, it's in this one. Okay, all right. Okay, hold on. Edwin W. Sims, him. You know who he is? Right here. You see those eyes? I looked into those eyes last night as I was starting to read this book, and I said, I know him. I know that soul. I mean, I don't know him personally. Okay, here he is. Here he is, y'all. Let me load that image, that video. Here he is. Making me so emotional thinking about it. Oh my goodness. Right here. Oh, not that one. Hold on. Where'd you go? It's taking a minute to show you the image, guys. Gotta clear some energy before I show you who it is. I saved the link here, and now I can't find it. It's replaced by some other one. So here, it's okay. We're working on clearing it. Why are you not showing? I'm gonna have to go through my saved profiles. Hold on, guys, and find it because the technology is not working. All right, here we go. Okay, here it is. Let me find him. Hold on. Scroll fast. Patience with me. There he is. Let me show you. And I say this even though I don't normally share people's past lives and who they were in past lives, but I share this to whoever's watching this. As always, we don't consent to you hateful people, so that you can send love to his mission now to save the children. You might have already figured it out, you all. Here he is.
I looked at the
That's
numbers.
him.
There's over 62,000 children found by the Trump administration.
Look at those gentle eyes, guys.
Children that weren't even being looked for under the Biden administration. President Trump saved over 62,000 children's lives. Some of these children in sex trafficking, we found them. Some were in forced labor. Some were being mistreated. I can't even discuss some of the mistreatment we found out about. President Trump, again, proves why he's the greatest president in my lifetime. Over 62,000 children rescued by President Trump. Again, children that were ignored and weren't being looked for under President Biden. I look at the numbers every day. On Friday, I looked at the numbers. There's over 62,000 children found by the Trump administration. Children that weren't even...
Got it, you all? Big mission he has. They saved the children then, and then they'll save them now, as they are now.
Sorry, I just want to say...
Which goes to Black Lives Matter. I love this black lady. She's awesome. Check her out. Look at this, look at this.
I'm a black woman, and I'm oppressed. I just want to know, would you be able to speak to a black woman who's oppressed?
This is, by the way, a Black Lives Matter supposed protest. So these paid, white actors. Listen to her.
I'm oppressed. I thought my life mattered. I thought Black Lives Matter. You don't want to speak to me?
Of course, Black Lives Matters, yeah.
So why don't you want to speak to an oppressed black woman?
Somebody using your oppression.
Oh, so I'm oppressed, and they don't want to talk to me. I just wanted to know, what are you guys protesting against? What are you guys protesting against? This is how they treat a black woman. I'm an oppressed black woman, and he turned his back on me. Sorry, what are you guys protesting against? What are you guys protesting against?
Yeah, thank you for that. Sometimes all you could do is laugh it out. And thank you for that. Love it. Okay, so let's keep going. So we've gone into the book. Let's look at some of the pictures. And then from there, we're going to go into the rest of Franklin D. Roosevelt, thank you, was the president that we're talking about. Well, the Franklin D. Roosevelt was the bad one from the Philadelphia experiment. Theodore Roosevelt was the positive one. All right, thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, let me look at the doc and see what else we have written here. Indentured servant, when they mentioned it, is when you guys were asking, what did you ask? You asked here, what about indentured servants? So it means blind, someone by an indenture is an apprentice or laborer, had to live years in service to gain freedom, did not always guarantee freedom, as some would say they continue to owe them after their service was over. Well, that is slavery, of course. And no, I mean, yeah, that's like slavery through labor. Thank you. And then does this history month power up the curse? Black history. Oh my God, I didn't even know, you guys. Are we in Black History Month in the US? Is that what you're saying? Because if we are, it's deleting it. Let's go, you all. Yeah, so it does power up typically. Yeah, all that. It powers up their dark curses to feeding this negative agenda of slave mind mentality. And someone's asking, what is the connection between St. Patrick's Day celebration and US and trafficking of Irish? St. Patrick is the bad guy. He is one of the slave owners, the cartel, the head of cartel, and everything to do with him involves the church and the way he violated children and raped them and then took and enslaved those children. So yes, and then we hosted a retreat in Ireland, how we know all these things, and we ran into his statues and churches sexually violating energetically. And souls everywhere trapped by his rape energy on the Irish people. And in America, you know, they have you get drunk on, what is it called? Irish Day. Here in Chicago, they like turn like Michigan into green, and everybody puts on leprechaun hats and, you know, like green beads. So all that, and they get drunk, right? Not everyone does that, but you know, whoever wants to, I guess. Yes, that's powering up the enslavement and trafficking and rape of Irish people, children. That's how that works. All right, what else? All right. So connection between, got that. All right, I'm gonna cut up with your questions, comments. Let's keep going, you all. So we are here. We're gonna finish up the images, and then we're gonna go into, again, the world data of slaves. Okay, here we go. All right, so we finished that, right? Yeah. Okay, we're going back to see his picture. Thank you to that beautiful man, Tom, in this now time space. Okay, so let's skip through and get to the images now. So we are here. Take a look at the images. And it says here, the employment plan. One of the white slave traders' methods is to seek the girl as an employment agent, bent upon securing help for some large store or hotel. He is pictured telling the father what a great chance there is for the girl in the city. The daughter leaves for the city. Her doom is sealed. All the ways of trickery, and we know that they do that. So, especially like in South America, they like, you know, people go missing because they say, "Oh, come get a job," and it turns out that it's a job, but it's a slave prostitution job. I don't know why I can't say it today. Normally I can. Theatricals, whatever. Scheme. Hopefully it's making you guys laugh. This is the most usual scheme used by white slave traders. They pose as theatrical managers and go even in the homes of their victims to try their voices, etc. They are smooth talkers and tell what a great future awaits her. She leaves the home in a few days, finds herself a white slave. The second meeting, she knows not the dangers trapped being set for her. The smooth-tongued villain tells of his affection and an undying love for her. He paints a beautiful picture of how happy they will be. She is enraptured and promises to meet him and go to dinner with him. Bishop of London, preaching in Wall Street, New York, the best loved man in England. He preaches in the slums of midnight in his cathedral. Oh, that's good to know there was a positive priest there. He pleads with the leaders of his church and nation against the false modesty which keeps young people in ignorance of the wages of sin. B.S. Steadwell, President, International American Purity Federation, another good guy. He is beautiful too. An editor of its official organ, The Light. That's what they're called, The Light. Wow. He is one of the great last doors in the fight against white slavery and for purity in the home. Wow. If anything we could do is we could send them a blast of love, you all, from this now time space to 1910. You are the true men, and what a man is supposed to be on earth. Yes, you are. This is Daisy. At 17, young and so fair. Daisy, under 20, dying in the poor house. Less than 3 years after leaving her home, she was found in the poorhouse, forgotten by family and friends, and dying of a loathsome disease. She was prostituted. Here she is, dying. And this was Daisy then. Copyright by Midnight Mission. For God's sake, save me. Right here, she's saying. While our missionaries were holding service one stormy night in January, the door of a vice resort flew open and out rushed one of the inmates, crying, "For God's sake, save me." And this is, I think we saw this one. Did we see this? Theatrical agency. Stylish girls wanted for the stage. High salary, brilliant career, travel, enjoyment. I think we read this one. The lure of the stage, answering and wanted. Yeah, we did. Young girls, keep going. So keep clicking it. Okay. What are we doing here? Wrong one. Okay. Okay. Here we go. Here. Okay. All right, here we are. In the center of the inferno, Reverend Ernest A. Bell is leading a meeting in the heart of the Vice District, all about our houses of shame. There's the houses where they keep the white slave girls, at the very doors of hell itself. What a brave man, and men and women with him. Wow. The shameless Vice District of Chicago. And this is just Chicago. It cuts off though. In the daytime, all is quiet and orderly. In the Vice District, I wonder what street this is. Once the night comes on the glare, I bet you it's Boys Town. I feel that it's Boys Town. Let me tell you what Boys Town is where all the gays are at. Certain parts in Chicago, you go and there's a lot of gays there. And they call it Boys Town, that's what they call it. Because of that. Whoa. Think about in your areas where there's towns like this, because I can tell you 100%, because I'm talking to this beautiful man who wrote this book and all these men here, that those towns are powered up. The gay confusion, non-binary and so on, right? This confusion of the targeting of children is powered up by these towns. We know in the Biden administration, they were teaching children how to have anal sex and masturbate in schools. There could be nothing morally correct about that. So that's being powered up by these towns that were back then, slave trades, and again, everywhere. Okay? Let me know all over the world. Do you guys have towns like these? And it doesn't really, I can't read it, but something in alleys lined in either side with saloons, booths, cribs, and palaces. So at night, it turns into something else. Here's a picture. Entrance of a house, a house of shame. I guess that's what they call them, houses of shame. The picture shows the entrance to a notorious vice resort with 3 of the wanton women right here at the door. A missionary who was making the rounds, so I think she's a missionary trying to help out, is standing close by. It is when these girls are ill or in trouble that they are most easily brought to their senses. So what happens to them? I mean, at some point they become, initially it's a rape, but then they just know, all they know is rape and violation, and they become so familiar to it that they can't get out of it. Just like you see a prostitute walking down the street selling her body. And then this missionary, this beautiful woman here on the left, is trying to talk to them and tell them you can't, you don't have to do this. You are under a curse, a spell to sell your body. Wow. Brave, so brave. The love game. A ponder working the love game assumes the role of a banker's son, seeking rest and fresh air. He hoodwinks the girls by stories of great wealth and position. The upper part of the picture shows the gay times promised. Pervert. Next one. Dance hall. Hotel rooms by day or week. Dangerous amusements, the brilliant entrance to hell itself. Young girls who have danced at home a little are attracted by the blazing lights, gately and apparent happiness of the dance halls, which in many instances led to their downfall. The Paris headquarters of notorious Maurice Van Bever gang. Girls procured in St. Louis by the Chicago St. Louis gang were brought to the place where they were made. So is that where gangs came from, you all? Those of you who grew up in the 80s and 90s, it was pretty bad, wasn't it? This is also powering up the whatever gangs. But you call them all sorts of names. This was powering it up. Because there were gangs that were trafficking young girls and boys. It was a St. Louis gang. Van Bever was arrested and the gang broken up. He was convicted in 1909 but carried the case to the Illinois Supreme Court and did not finally go to prison until February. That's right. A mother here sitting. Where is my wandering boy tonight? There's a picture of him. Where is he? What happened to him? Go for my wandering boy tonight. Go search for him where you will and bring him to me, all his plight, and tell him I love him still. His parents. How many children have gone missing in America alone? Gina, tell me write it. How many have gone missing alone in a year or whatever data that they have? This is curse. Slave trade is powering up. Kids gone missing and running supposedly away from home. This picture there, there's a female here. Friends in meeting immigrants, they spell it with an E there. Girl at the dock. The girl was met at New York by two friends who took her in charge. These friends were two of the most brutal of all the white slave traders who are in the traffic. U.S. District Attorney Edwin Sims again. Foreign girls are more helplessly at the mercy of white slave hunters, foreign girls, than girls at home. Every year, thousands of girls arriving in America from Italy, Sweden, Germany, etc. are never heard of again. Makes sense. They don't know anyone, right? So the easiest to target would be the immigrant girls coming in. Sending love to them. And then to think about those immigrants, how that past life trauma also, they probably incarnated back into that same country that they came from, that then they came here to the Americas in this perspective, in this book, and then got tricked to be trafficked in. Where is Mabel? A frequenter at a resort. This guy right here. That's what they call them? Resort? Oh, wait a minute. That's disgusting. So how many curses are we going to find in one book, you all? Resorts are powered up by this. And if you have a timeshare and all that. A frequenter at a resort. A resort used to be where you have sex with little girls. Is asking the keeper about one of the popular girl inmates. I like that they call them inmates because they are prisoners. The brutal answer was she has croaked. died. The upper part of the picture shows the burial of the girl in the potter's field. The wages of sin is death. Here. All right, we're going to go over probably another 30 minutes, you all. We're on page 32 of this, and then we're going to go through all the data I found of the world slavery. Here we go. Okay, the first meeting. The wise slave trader skilled in the arts and wiles of flattery, accosting a young girl on the street. Right? They promised them fame and money and cars. For God's sake, come and get me. 2117 on this address. Mildred Clark's frenzied cry that rang out in the midnight as the gypsy South Great Parade was passing through the Vice District. Yep. Okay. Smith Great Parade was passing through the Vice District. She's calling and screaming out for help. Next one. The finale, an inmate in a house of shame. The White City, another infamous house of shame. They called themselves the White City Ill. This is another of the white, and we know in our book, was it 18, World's Fair, 1893, is it? That series that we have going on, make sure you check that out, right? They called it Chicago the White Flame City, but in this way they're using it invertedly after the World's Fair. (1893). Yeah, watch that series, guys. Okay, so this is another of the Vice resorts owned by Maurice Van Bever, leader of the Chicago St. Louis gang. This shameless brute and 7 of his vile traffickers were tried and sent to prison for white slavery. Thank you. And this man could not do it by himself. He needed men and women to rise and help him. Wow, to those people who did that. This one says, my God, if I could only get out of here. The midnight shriek of a young girl in the Vice District of a large city heard by 2 worthy men started a crusade which resulted in closing up the dens of the shame in the city. Wow, they heard her and helped close it. Thank you. The drummer of traveling men away. When a ponder strikes a rural community, he must work very smoothly, for everyone knows that he is a stranger. He poses as a drummer or traveling man and seeks the girls in the way, promising a fine time at balls, parties, etc. Once in his power, she is lost. Be careful with those who promise you things of ego and money and objects. If you think about it, a lot of that is like, there's more females than males, but they marry people with money and wealth. That is slavery too. What have you sold? Your body and your soul to money. So copyright by the Midnight Mission. Indifference turned to repentance. The indifferent young man is shown on his knees asking prayers that he may keep the path of righteousness. Mysterious. So much temptation happening. It's like the whole turning the children gay and confused sexually. That dark. It's like a dark voice and curse. AI going through the minds, trying to turn these kids. This boy is asking to not be turned. The enemy of the man and the enemy of woman. The man on the left is Mike Hart, the white slave trader. He was at one time a bartender in the Paris. His testimony appears in chapter 7, I think. And here is a group of ardent white slave fighters. Look at them. Wow. Beautiful souls who did not sell out and understood that Make America Great was real. Take a look at them. Beautiful. You cannot do it by yourself. Cannot. You need a team. All right, we're on 2 more pages, guys, and we'll go into the rest. Danger. Meeting young girls at the railway depots. Oh my God. So when you go to train stations, guys, what do you think happened there? Also, the fact that they do, in the past especially, transporting children through the trains. Biden and Obama and all that. Okay, meeting young girls at the railway depots and Epstein is one of the methods of the white slave trader. They promise to take the strangers to their friends, in fact, acting to get them to accompany them. Once in a closed carriage, they are lost. So that is all in all those train stations, you all. Make sure your entity removal is the way to go. Let go. Help let go and transmute, eradicate all that trauma that's holding back the adolescents now and us when we were young, because we lived lives like this, and no matter what race we were, at least once. We're infinite beings incarnating on Earth, Gaia. We have had many lives. We had to have run into at least one. And then this is the Great Gypsy Smith Parade through Chicago's Vice District. Can't quite see it. But on the slowly moving mass, now singing Near by God to Thee. So it looks like they were protesting and saying, against. The marchers stopped. I think they're trying to help, it looks like. Singing Near by God to Thee. Good. And one more, and we're done with this, what I was able to find of this book. The third step, drugged and led to her ruin. Having taken the drugged potion, she is now incapable, that's date rape. Those drugs, right? Incapable of self-control and is easily led to her ruin. Awakened, she will find herself an inmate of a house of shame. Yep. All right. Questions, comments, and let's look at the rest of the world and the slavery there. Okay, so someone's asking, where are they taking the children after they are found in trafficked situations? Some of them are on ship and carts, some of them are in trains, and most of them go down into Mexico to the cartels. And that's why it's so big on what we've covered in our recent video of Maduro going down, who was one of the leaders of the cartels of trafficking children. You'd think it's drugs, you all, but what's even more expensive than a drug? What do they sell drugs? I don't know what they sell them on the street. $20, $50? No idea, but I'm guessing. Maybe more, I don't know. How much is a human worth? Probably thousands in the black market. So, what are these cartels really trafficking, you all? They're trafficking humans, children. Yep. So when you hear cartels, know that that's really what it is. Not so much drugs. Maybe drugs. Children. Young adults. Next one, comments to see what else are you guys saying. Someone said, our learning in our history in USA is lacking. It sure is, isn't it? Someone said, beautiful words. Fire, 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 fire. What's up? That's right. Thank you. Great show. You ladies are exceptional and give me hope. God bless you all. Thank you. God bless you as well. If you can't see the light, be the light. That is exactly how pimps work. Yup. They pretend to care for you and they will take care of you. Then they break you mentally, emotionally, physically, and sexually. So you can't leave them out of fear. Exactly. They also use other women to lure the girls into make them feel safe. Yes, they do. Women are used like that. My grandmother told me a story of her German cousin who met an Arabian prince who got married and went abroad with him after marrying him, only to find herself in haram with many other women. It took the family a lot to bring her back. Never knew what to make of the story, but it now makes sense. It was in the 1920s and 30s. Yep. That's crazy. No wonder people can't get out of timeshares. They can't? I don't know about that. The ones tried to get me on a timeshare, and I came home and the energy felt violated, and I called them instantly, and I was like, get me out of this timeshare. And you know, you're within the time frame or whatever. No. Okay, next one. You can still rent fully furnished flats in Arab countries that mean that they could come with women. Yep. Who has to cater to men renting in all forms. We know that it's everywhere. That's disgusting. Sending Phoenix fire and love. That we are. I am ex-military. Thank you. Common specialist. You guys have no idea the darkness in the world. Oh, we know. I've been covering it. Thank you for your statement. Look into the Kalergi plan for a greater understanding of what's going on. Also, the protocols of the learned elders of Zion. Okay, we'll look into that. We'll make a note. Thank you. Wow, in Germany, train stations are known for drug addicts, and there are testimonies from the 1980s of children addicted to drugs being sold and selling themselves at these train stations. Yes, you all, now we know why this is in train stations. And there's homeless people and druggies, right? All right. That's all I see. Questions and comments. Oh, there's one more here. Okay. In the U.S., approximately 460,000 children go missing each year. The National Center of Missing. What? What? 460,000 children go missing every year? Guys, we know that that's way too much. The National Center of Missing and Exploited Children assisted with 29,568 cases of missing children in 2024, while the FBI NCIC recorded 349,557 reports involving youth and 533,936 total missing person reports for the same year. These figures reflect the different data sets and definitions indicating that the total number of missing children is a complex and dynamic issue. Okay. That is way too many, you all. I thought it was something less, not 460,000. And that's honestly, it could be more. That's just the US. Now we see why Trump appointed men like Tom, what's his name? Where'd he go? Tom, and I can't remember his last name. To go after the 60,000. Type me the name. What's his full name? Okay. What else do you guys have here? Yeah, so that's where they're taking. Okay, I answered everything there. Questions, comments. Okay. Okay. Tom, I knew it was with an H, and I didn't want to say the wrong one. Tom Homan. Thank you, Tom Homan, and his team. Okay. So let's look at some of the videos that I have here saved for you guys to see now, and links. Reload that now. How we doing? Questions, comments, everyone, add them now. We're gonna finish this. I think 20 minutes. We'll see though. Okay. First one I'm going to show you all here. And we'll have to go back to the big book. So many pages, you all. Almost 500 pages of details of the slaves. We'll have to do a part 2 on this, guys. Thank you for being here. And if you stuck through all the way, keep going. And thank you for being so strong. All right, so here we go. This is the other data we found. And where'd it go? Oh, okay. Yeah. Got that. Covered that. Expansion. Yep. Here's some information, guys, on the white Irish slaves. Here we go. Oh, let me unmute it. Oh, it's that creepy song that people use there. It's the first slaves imported into America colonies were 100 white Irish children. They arrived during Easter. Oh, another curse. Easter, 1619, 4 months before the arrival of the first shipment of black slaves. And that's the truth there. Next one. Let's listen to this one. This is really good data. That is all facts. And the Irish people.
Slaves in America, and nobody talks about it. Our ancestors were ripped from their homes in Ireland, shackled, and sold for less than African slaves in the 1600s. They were called white cargo and treated as disposable workers. Over 300,000 Irish were shipped to the Caribbean and American colonies. They worked sugar plantations alongside African slaves, died from disease and brutality.
That explains the red hair in all color skins.
The difference. This history was erased. No reparations, no memorials, no recognition. Books even changed Irish slaves to indentured servants to minimize what happened. The word redneck actually comes from Irish workers whose skin burned in the Caribbean sun.
Whoa.
This forgotten chapter of history shows how oppression knows no color. Irish people were the first slaves in America.
There you go, you all. Did you know that? Next one. Nice. Thank you to who made that. And then we have modern slavery right here. So currently, modern slavery that we know of. We're not talking about the underground black markets. Global findings on modern slavery. And it goes to estimated 50 million people were living in situations of modern slavery. 50 million on any given day in 2021. Slavery was not just, again, back in the history of the Civil War, because really that's what the Civil War was about. And according to this, it wasn't just, again, the blacks, it was Irish, and there was other races that were being enslaved in different locations. And it wasn't just the US. Okay, so it is happening now. Look, here's a quick list from global to national estimates. The 10 countries with the highest prevalence of modern slavery are North Korea, Eritrea, Mauritania, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Tajikistan, United Arab Emirates, Russia, Afghanistan, and Kuwait. I mean, yeah. Figure an estimated prevalence of modern slavery, noting estimated prevalence per 1,000 population for 10 countries with the highest prevalence. There is slavery right now. Not in our past, yes, in our past, but right now, every day. Okay? Thank you for this article. Next one. You know, there's histories on the history of slavery in the Muslim world. It seemed like one of the beginning locations was the Islamic targeted areas in the Middle East. So it says here, the history of slavery in the Muslim world was throughout the history of Islam, with slaves serving in various social and economic roles, from powerful emirs to harshly treated manual labor. Slaves were widely in labor and irrigation, mining, and animal husbandry, but most commonly as soldiers, guards, domestic workers. The use of slaves for hard physical labor early on in Muslim history. And there's the root of all of them. There's the curse, the dark seed of all of it. And this is why they think that they could rape and marry 6 and 8 year olds, because the beginning of slavery began there. And it makes sense why they are freeing right now, sending love to Iran again. Thank you to these men. I wrote an article about it. You could read that article. We'll add it there in the link about the freedom and how the men of Iran would have to have gotten out of their, I'll keep it clean, out of their ego to have been able to now support the removal of the hijabs, the removal of the Muslims. The men in Iran have awakened. And how did that happen? That is very interesting, isn't it? Which means that there's some dark seed, perhaps somewhere in the Middle East, that was eradicated for them to have awoken. It definitely was a dark curse that was removed for the men to deveil and to support them, because every other Muslim men we're seeing them be okay. Like I was watching a video like where this man was going around, and he was like, they were like protesting, and this Islamic men were talking about how there's stages of puberty in little girls, and at this certain age, like 8, that they've already entered some puberty, so they're giving them so the it's okay to have sex with them because there's different stages of puberty and maturity. disgusting. Okay, so there you go, you all. Just drop the mic on that. There it is. All right, keep going. Here, that was modern slavery. Okay. Got that one. Okay. Here's some history on the black slaves. Here we go. Here's some facts on it that they won't teach you in school. Instead, they teach you Black Lives Matter.
Slaves were brought to the Americas, but what we don't learn in school is where those slaves actually went. Just under half of them, an estimated 5.4 million, went only to Brazil, and many more went to the Caribbean. 1.2 million went to Jamaica, more than 900,000 to St. Dominique, and 889,000 to Cuba. The grand total of slaves brought to the future United States was about half the number brought only to Cuba, 472,372, or 3% of the total. The ones who came to the 13 colonies were the lucky ones. In the context of global slavery, getting put on a ship to New Orleans is really a best case scenario. If you think American slavery was bad, wait until you see what happened to the ones who didn't make it here. 12.5 million slaves.
You hear that? So then Cuba, a good portion of it went there, and we know that they're under dictatorship and they want to remove themselves from communism. So only a small portion came here to the first 13 colonies other than the United States, where was the South, right? And we've covered it in Antarctica, Tartaria. The African blacks look completely different than the US blacks. And yes, there's been intermingling, but they look completely like their facial structure, everything's different in them. And we talked about in Tartaria, you'll have to check that out. Well, I don't know what video that would be, Gina. Or we talked about it, how they look like two different. So we'll try to find that video with two different blacks. Trying to remember. We'll look into it. And yeah. Okay. Because the blacks were already here. The blacks were indigenous. There was lighter skin and darker skin, like blacks, indigenous tribes already here in America. Okay, so yeah. What's next? What else? Okay. I'm trying to click the videos, and for some reason they're going to not the correct videos. Come on. I don't know why it's doing that, but it's going to the storm that's happening and videos about that. Okay, but I was going to show you guys a video about ICE checking on the children who maybe it might be right there. Let me see if I have it right there. Checking on the children who what is it about? Let me see. ICE checking on the the list of children that were taken by the Biden administration and taken into the foster, right? And they have the list, so they're going in and checking and freeing the children that were given to sponsors. They call them sponsors, who are factually sexual pedophiles, who some even have been, tried for, and criminals to be sex traffickers. Yeah, I can't find it right now, and that link is not working. Let's hope the other links work. Oh, here it is. Okay. I had to find it manually. Okay. And then this says here.
Alert, ICE announcing a brand new operation to conduct welfare checks on the 450,000 children that the Biden administration placed with unvetted sponsors, some of whom were sex traffickers, gang members, and abusers. The Trump administration has already located more than 24,400 children, and some of these stories are absolutely heartbreaking, like this one. A 1-year-old unaccompanied minor crossed the border during the Obama administration. That little girl is now 12 years old. During her 11 years in America, she lived with a series of relatives and endured horrifying abuse. According to Fox's Brooke Taylor, she was found in the custody of 2 sisters who have now been arrested. The 12-year-old was found, quote, with injuries all over her body, extreme malnutrition, and an infected gash on her head and zip ties around her wrist. Among those who abused this innocent child were her one-time sponsor, a distant uncle that she was placed with in 2024, despite...
Sponsor, guys. This is freaking pedo. Can you... I don't want you to feel it, but can you imagine and sense what this little girl, what she's gone through since she was 2 to 12? There is... Guys, I'm sorry. If you hate Trump, unsubscribe to me. You are egoic. If anyone who saves children is a positive being to me. Seriously, I'm done. I've been supporting the Trump administration from the beginning, right? Since 2020, before people knew that, and I told you then, I said they are saving children underground. They're gonna save them. Don't go into that timeline. Go this timeline. It's gonna save children. Absolutely, I have no tolerance for children being abused like this. And if you align with attacking ICE, who is taking these pedophiles out, if you align with attacking this administration saving children, I mean, do unsubscribe to me. Thank you. All right. Why? Because you're feeding it. You are as much as responsible to children being sexually abused as the predator who is sexually abusing them, because you are aligning to the same energy and violation to the children. You understand? You are defending the rapist and the parasite to these children and abusers. And that, I can't align with. It goes against everything that we have spoken for. How many years have we been here? I forget. 8 or 9, almost 9 years. You don't believe me? Here we go. I'm sure you believe me because I'm sure you've done your own research. But look, right here. Trump talking, right here, holding up photos of the child rapists and murderers. Here we go.
People, vicious, many of them murderers. These are all out of Minnesota, just Minnesota. I say, why don't you talk about that more? Because people don't know. Do you want to live with these people? International murder. These are people that are living, they're apprehended and either put in jails in their country from where they came, and the countries respect us, and so they actually put them there. In the old days, they didn't respect our country. Biden wouldn't do this because he let them all in. You know, if you didn't have open border policies of Biden, none of this, all of the time that we spend talking about Minnesota and everything else, most of them are coming from out of the country. And it's been caused by a previous administration. Look at this, one after one. Boy, these are rough characters. These are all criminal, illegal aliens that In many cases, they're murderers, they're drug lords, drug dealers, they're the mentally insane. There's some of them who are brutal killers, they're mentally insane. They're killers, but they're insane.
And he goes on and on and on. Okay, so that's something for you to be aware of. If you have family and friends that align with the Biden administration and think that Trump is a bad guy, even though he's literally holding the hands of the rapists and the killers, holding their picture in his hand, and they still don't see it, know that if you have them in your life, they are aligning to rapists and they're carrying that energy and that violation to the collective of children who have been violated and raped. They are. It's a quantum physics, guys. We could go into the spiritual, but it's simple. People who align with rapists, people who don't. That energy is going to be carried through their actions, through their timelines and their decisions. And if you are friends with them, it is a quantum entanglement of energy. No amount of shielding will shield you from the quantum entanglement of people who align with rapists. Like always, guys, I'm going to tell it to you like raw. Raw love, raw truth. Here we go. Finishing up now. Let's see what this one is. Back to like arranged marriage. You know, this is hidden in plain sight. No girl should ever be married against her will. Look at this. What the heck? Slavery. One more. If you are here, you're a bad A. Thank you. You're tough to be able to hold in this long. It says here, nice written here. You will never convince me that this is normal. Mr. and Mrs. Tug Kiki or whatever. Look at this. Who is that in there, you all? What little girl is that? What the? Divine Mother's here. The rise of the dragons, Divine Mother, Father, and dragons are here. And they're here to support you so that you can see, and you already know that how horrific this is, but so that the people who are under this control and enslavement can free themselves. And the only way they free themselves, you all, is through you, who is not a slave. You can only save them because you're not in it. You are the key and the energy and the love that will free them. Your awareness, your communications, your strength, your divine power, your love will save them. It will go into the quantum of this earth and creation to free them. Here, modern day slavery, and we will conclude it here. Women kept as slaves on human egg farms. This is the thing, you all. Around 100 women were kept as slaves as human. I can't really see a farm in Georgia. I think that's a country where they were fed hormones and treated like cattle. Their horrifying ordeal has been revealed by 3 Thai women who were freed from the clutches of the egg mafia on January 30th after being exploited for half a year. Tabloid Bild reports the women said they were held captive on a human farm in the Eastern European country of Georgia in a criminal organization led by Chinese criminals who sold their eggs on the black market. They were lured in by a job offer on Facebook, promising them a salary between 100,000 to 17,000 euros to work as a surrogates for Georgian couples who could not have children. The two traveled to Georgia in August 2024 alongside 10 other Thai women. Their expenses for the journey, as well as their passport applications, were paid for by the organization, with a female employee organizing their travels. But once they arrived, they were housed in 4 large properties with around 100 other women and realized that the job offer was just a front. Instead, the women were pumped up with hormones to stimulate their ovaries and were forced to have their eggs removed once a month. One of the freed women told a press conference this week they were treated like cattle, and that some of the women did not. All right, you all. So now that we've learned for 2 hours of the truth of the enslavement of humanity, I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for being strong and for the ways that you will share the content you've learned today, that you will share this video. Thank you. Thank you to everyone who has been with me these, I don't know what year I'm on. I think I'm 8 or 9 years. Thank you for being here in all the ways, because many videos have had to have come forth before this video to be able to be created. I look forward to reading the rest of the book with you all. We'll probably cover more of the book and what's happening in their time space of 1910 to unhook and eradicate the curses of the den of 1900, the den of 1700, the den of 1500, and on when slavery was and continues in modern day slavery. I love you, honor you, and respect you. And we're going to play Ave Maria, because we're going to ask for Mother Mary to heal us all, to heal the children and save them. And sign up to our series, the Extra Sensitive series, where we are currently channeling Adolf Hitler and the true story of World War II and the data that we have found when researching. It is big, you all. Huge for you to come listen to this series. I love you, honor you, and respect you. Go to my website, risingphoenixaurora.com, and A.U.R.A, like our energy, our aura, practitioners.com. Also go to a Rising Phoenix Mystery School, Instagram, YouTube, which are my new channels, and TikTok, where you could watch some of my shorts that I've been making on some spiritual, expansive thoughts. For next month, I want to tell you, I think I have one more video that I'll be hosting live, and after that, for about the most of February, I am going to be, I have so many aura hypnosis past life regression sessions that are waiting, like 10 of them. We'll see how many I can post in almost a month, but I will be back live at one more Friday, next Friday, and then after that I will be back live February. I'm not sure if I'll do it the 27th, but we'll see, somewhere around there, the 28th, I'll be back live. So keep an eye out for that if you haven't signed up to my newsletter, so you're aware of when I'll be doing lives again. In a couple weeks again. After that, typically I'm always live every Friday, but again, I'll be posting all the aura regressions. So keep an eye out for that. They're going to be very powerful, talking about so much awareness from all over universe and multiverse and Earth's history. Thank you for being you. I love you. Honor you, respect you. See you next time. Thank you.